for they demonstrate what was happening in Christianity in the beginning after the churches were being formed by St. Paul and some of the other apostles. The sacred scriptures were ideal for propagating both the authentic teachings of the Lord Jesus and his message for the kingdom, but they were also used to propagate some of the heterodox ideas of these apocryphal Gospels. Scholars, of course, are not in agreement that the Apocrypha should be so named as Gospels, Epistles, Acts, and Apocalypses, but these well-known genres of the canonical Gospels were the best they could come up with. Eliot, for instance, in his collection of them, calls the entire work as the New Testament apocryphal literature. However, the canonical Gospels are important for showing us how often the Apocrypha writings take points of departure from them and often use them for their narratives and their stories. As we know, there are 27 canonical writings in the New Testament, and the Apocrypha are easily over 100 such writings. The Gospels and the Apocrypha dedicated to them are about 40, but only 15 or so are usually printed for us in books that cover them. This is due to the fact that there is a lot of dependence of one upon the other, and the earlier ones are not complete often, and those that are complete serve a purpose for those coming later in the history of the Church. They are dependent on some of the ones they cherish in their individual communities, as we will see in these talks. So some may favor the Gospel of Thomas, others the Gospel of Philip, others the Gospel of James. Apocryphal Gospels tend to emphasize the miracles of the child Jesus because they are trying to fill in what is missing in the New Testament about certain stages of Jesus' early life. This filling in of the gaps is rather important for them, and as a result we have some very interesting anecdotes about the child Jesus. Some of the earlier ones tend to have a dualistic approach in their narratives. That is, that they see things as black and white, good and evil, and even address the God of the Old Testament as a demiurge or a false god of evil. So there will be correctives that we see that are necessary as we read these apocryphal Gospels. Usually, however, they do try to fill in gaps and questions that were being asked by their community of peoples in those days. Legends about the apostles tell us where they preached and how they were martyred. Questions that were asked in these communities then were answered through some of these Gospels. They have influenced some of our devotion and some of the legends that we hear about martyrs and saints that are found in some prayer books or popular stories of the saints. Actually, the Apocryphal Gospels then are only a small part of the overall works that are called Apocrypha in early Christian literature. They are, however, more important to us so that we can rediscover the great diversity that existed in the early churches of the 1st century and up to about the 4th or 5th century. In our presentations, we will be looking at the most important of them without neglecting to mention the remaining ones that are still being researched. These Gospels are said to range chronologically from the 1st century up to the 7th century. They will continue in other genres in the Middle Ages, perhaps in morality plays or passion narratives. Among the Gospels, there are close to about 40 different ones that will be mentioned in our presentation. Many of the lesser ones known are due to the fact that they're only fragments of the papyri or single sheets of the script that are left. The great minds of the early centuries mentioned these names and titles of Gospels that are called Apocrypha, thereby giving us pieces of